She's dead. Wrapped in plastic.
Welcome to the Twin Peaks Podcast.
Damn good coffee. And hot. Would everyone please take a seat?
Hi.
Good. I'm using a new mic. We only tested it last night. I'm guessing there isn't the same static.
No, it sounds
Brad.
good.
Yay!
It's the best we've ever heard from you.
Don't thank me. Thank Brad.
Did Brad buy you a microphone?
He did.
Oh,
and I
that's
cried. I cried. Brad is the best human. You're the best human, Brad. I hope you're blushing.
I mean, yeah, it's purely selfish. It just makes my editing easier.
No, it's not. It's because you're.
Was it for selfish reasons?
It's because Brad is the best human, and I cried on Christmas Eve because of Brad's kindness.
Really, it's a gift to your listeners.
It's a gift to all.
Aww.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
So yeah.
What else is new?
I'm wearing my Christmas pajamas.
Yeah?
They're not actually.
Describe them.
Well, they're not. I figured they were fitting for talking about Twin Peaks because they're not actually Christmassy. I'll send you a photo of the material. It's just got lots of little pine trees on them. So I was like, it's Twin Peaks pajamas.
Aww.
No. I will send a photo. Hang on.
Are there hidden owls in the
There's little like red stars, so maybe you're not getting me in this photo because I look terrible.
Aww.
I've sent it to the Facebook
judge
chat.
And judge we shall.
Brad is the judge this week, as he was on the podcast last night.
Where's my gavel?
Yay!
Oh my god, I love those pajamas!
They're so cute.
Those are great.
You brought a gavel?
I always have my gavel at hand, ready to go.
Hang on. Wait. Hang on, 2 secs.
Caitlin here
I
yet?
think I heard.
Hello. Yeah.
Caitlin's there!
Where's my gavel?
Hey.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey!
Hello. It's okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Yeah.
Me too.
What are you sending us now, Claire?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you said hold on, wait a second.
No, I said here's my gavel.
Oh.
Is that a boiled egg? What is that?
Yeah, it's in my egg cup. Me and Brad can have a gavel off.
It sounded like you were cracking a boiled egg.
Yeah.
And that egg will be in an egg cup, Brad.
It has to be for Brad, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, Claire, you said you've got an hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I'm back to work tomorrow, so I need.
Aww.
Maybe we can fit this whole thing in an hour. We'll see.
That's fine. Otherwise, I'll just shoot off. Like I'll just ping you guys a message, and then I shall disappear, and then you can chat shit about me.
As per, that's as per tradition. You disappear because of technology. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
That's it. New Year's resolution.
Yes, and Brad is Santa Claus. Santa Brad.
Okie dokie, we'll start then.
How do we do this again?
Let's see if we can do it from memory. Welcome to the Twin Peaks Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Mel.
I'm Caitlin.
I'm Brad.
I think it was the opposite originally.
I think it was as well.
It's been a while.
It doesn't matter.
I don't. Yeah.
Fixed in post-production.
Nope, this is no editing. I used to spend a whole week editing these things. Nope, no longer.
Is that your New Year's resolution?
Yes. So yeah, we're back. I'm sure people are surprised to hear from us, but I mean,
it's a Christmas miracle.
I guess if you want to call it that. I'm a Twin Peaks fan. You might not like us or our content anymore, but who cares?
We're back.
Doing this for me, I felt a sense of, I hadn't completed my mission. We left one piece of Twin Peaks undiscussed. And that was the second Mark Frost book. And, I didn't buy it. I didn't want to buy it. I don't know. Brad, I know you bought it. Or
guys, I paid big dollars. I bought a copy at Ollie's Bargain Outlet for $3.99.
Wow.
Best store in Orlando, by the way. Ollie's, I've been there.
More than I was willing to spend. So I thank you for that. So because of you, we can discuss the book.
Because of your sacrifice.
Because of your sacrifice. Well, it was time. It was time too. We had to read the book. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
my copy was like half price, but it wasn't as cheap as Brad's, so I do feel a bit ripped off.
Yeah. And I am gonna have a real question for you on this, Claire, because I know when this thing first came out, I read it because I thought we thought we were gonna do this like a long time ago, and then we didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I read it, but I don't remember the end of it because I just reread it again today, and I was like, wait, hold on, this was the end of this?
I don't remember the end. I haven't. I've got it in front of me.
Amazing.
I haven't reread it.
Okay, then that's all I wanted to know because.
Okay.
Amazing. Well, that works.
So, is it a quick read?
Oh yes,
it is pretty thin.
So
compared to the first
how many
one.
pages?
The thing is, it's really bulked out. Like they're trying to make it look like documents again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's got like 133, but then like there's about 15 pages after that aren't numbered, and it's like Brad said, it's so bulked.
Yeah, and it's really and also like the chapter headings are like it's theoretically done by character. But it's so badly constructed and so badly written that, like, there is a chapter supposedly on Annie, but the previous chapter is mostly about Annie, and this is, like, literally, like, half a paragraph discussing Annie before they start talking about Wyndham Earl.
So who's the character, Brad, that does it? It's TP.
Fucking
I remember
Tammy.
Before we get too far into it, let's just recap here. So it's been over 10 years now, I guess, since we started the podcast and did our first episode, and I've been uploading them all to my personal YouTube channel. That's where this will be. I'm not.
Yeah, a little thumbs up from me every time.
Oh, thanks. I'm not paying for any subscription service to host this, so.
You're just a cheapskate.
Just a cheapskate. So yeah. What, if anyone is comfortable sharing, what was your life like in 2011 versus now? Like, what things have changed for you? Where were you there then? Where are you now? For me and Mel, I don't think anything's really changed. It's sad. We live in the same house. We have cats still.
I was not expecting this question to come up.
Yeah. To have to analyze your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think I've regressed because I'm living back with my folks.
Oh.
Because of COVID and like the last few years being generally shit. So maybe I'm regressing. I don't know.
Well, I mean, are you in a better mental place?
Yeah, definitely. And
well,
I got
you're
involved.
You're moving forward.
Yay! And I got involved since you guys started the podcast. I think it was after you guys started. I got involved in the Twin Peaks UK festival and worked in most of those, which was very cool. Met a lot of the cast and stuff. So that was really fun. And
yeah, and you went from being a podcast listener to like a podcast host.
I created a podcast empire, Brad. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, both you and Brad. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, we kind of all went on to do like podcasts. Like we did one with like Caitlin, like
about
Briscoe County Jr. Like we all ended up doing like a few more different things, like branching out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We did podcasting together, which was awesome.
Yeah. We all kind of had like
the Defenders.
Yeah, the Defenders. Like we all like kind of intertwined with each other. Like it's kind of funny how it worked out. But
yeah.
We went and hung out with Brad a couple of times.
Yeah, if anything, I'm thankful for the the greater community that I kind of entered because of the podcast and all the people I got to know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we met Caitlin in person. Like,
Yeah,
I
well,
hung out with Caitlin as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was cool.
yeah, we went to the Twin Peaks Fest a couple times. Yeah,
Yeah. So really, like,
I guess
a lot of things changed.
things have
Matt.
happened. Nothing's changed, but things have happened.
Yeah. So I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I don't know. If
Brad's
anyone
living in
else is
Florida. Brad's the Florida man now.
I never thought I'd see Brad in Florida.
I never thought I'd see Brad as a hashtag Florida man.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, this fucking Florida weather is forever bullshit. Like, this can, I got no need for this damn weather. But, yeah, I'm here.
I'd never thought, Brad, that you would be a Florida living theme park loving man. I don't know why.
It's true. When you live here, you kind of have to be, though. Like,
That's true. Yeah.
it takes a lot of work to be anti-theme park in Florida.
Specifically Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I will say one thing I did get involved in since we've recorded last. I got into an early pandemic fist fight.
What?
I can't believe this.
I witnessed some early pandemic fistfights. I was not
actually,
in a.
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did too.
Yeah.
But continue, Brad.
I was in a Walmart.
Of course.
This was early pandemic times, and I was wearing a face covering.
Mhm.
At this point, this was before everyone had to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And when I think the CDC was still pretending, actually you don't need to. It's fine. We
Yeah.
we're not gonna make you. You shouldn't. It actually doesn't do anything.
Masks are actually bad, in fact.
Yeah, it was that time. So I, being a sensible person, was like, no, people wear masks for a reason. It's a good idea.
Mhm.
So I was wearing a mask, and this fucking dude. And again, this is not a young guy. This was like a guy like mid to late 40s, maybe 50s.
Mhm.
I see him, and I see him walking towards me. He's got a smirk on his face. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy? What's this guy doing here? He didn't have like a card or anything. I feel like he came into the store for this express purpose. And he like comes and he leans right at me and he coughs in my face on purpose. Like a real and
What?
and I'm like, and it took me a second to even process, like, what the fuck did this motherfucker just do?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, absolutely fucking not. So I'm yelling at the guy. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm a smoker. I cough. And he starts to turn around, like still a real smirk on his face. So
Yeah.
that's when I break out a kidney punch.
Oh man.
He clearly was not expecting anyone to like do anything to stop his nonsense.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna truck with that nonsense. Like, you're not gonna fucking cough in my face
No.
in a goddamn Walmart.
That's
Yeah.
assault. Yeah.
There's a goddamn pandemic going on, and again, this is the point in time we have no idea of anything about this pandemic.
Yeah.
And this asshole is just going around fucking with people. And like, I genuinely believe he decided to come into a store just to fuck with people. So yeah, he's like trying to get to his feet because I do knock him down, and like there's a bit of a scuffle. I get a couple more hits in. Like, he doesn't really. I mean, he's like shoving me, but he doesn't really get any like punches in or anything because he's mostly shocked that anyone would dare confront him.
Yeah.
So I'm just yelling at him, and then he runs off out of the store. So
He ran out of the store?
yeah,
Oh my god.
that's right. Kidney punch,
Was
guys.
anybody around? Did anybody witness?
Like, some people did, but like no one did a damn thing.
Really?
No one, like, because like, I mean, honestly, Walmart workers, like, they're paid minimum wage. It's
Yeah.
not their job to like get in the middle of a fight between
No.
two fucking adults.
No.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it's Florida,
I was-
so
I,
Yeah.
I witnessed a fist fight as well in the start of the pandemic.
Somebody spit on somebody. didn't they?
Someone well, first they were doing that same thing that guy did. They were like coughing on that guy,
Mhm.
and then it broke out in a fist fight, and then the guy literally full on spit in his face, and the
Mhm.
cops showed up
Mm.
like not long
Oh.
after. But I was like I was at my car like getting ready to leave, and I just witnessed that.
It was at the very
it was
beginning.
just really it was really jarring.
It was at the very beginning of the pandemic.
Very beginning.
Like you
yeah.
said, nobody knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, society is breaking down.
Yeah, that's what it felt
Mad
like.
Max world is coming.
Yeah, that's exactly what it
Yikes.
felt like. It was terrifying.
Definitely.
And I wasn't even involved in it, you know,
Yeah.
so I can only imagine how you
Hoard
felt.
Hoard the toilet paper. Caitlin, if you want to share, you don't have to.
Yeah, no, I will. I feel like my life is very different from back in 2011. In 2011, I was starting my master's program, so I think I was in Calgary, Canada, when we
Yep.
started, and then I moved to France.
Right.
So
Yay.
And where are you now?
I'm in Calgary again.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm living with my mom, so
Okay.
also with my parent. Yeah.
High five, Caitlin.
You know what? I know so many people that are living with their parents.
My brother
So
is,
many.
yeah.
Like his brother, like my sister is, like, yeah, so
My
many
cousin.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like a thing.
It's a thing
now.
with our generation.
Yeah.
It's fairly common not to be
Yeah.
looked down upon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, now I'm just working, no longer a student, and I work as an engineer. I'm working in wind and solar energy, and
So awesome.
What?
yeah.
That's so cool.
How many
Yeah.
things have you built with your bare hands?
Oh, with my bare hands, nothing. I do it all on the computer.
You don't have bare hands?
With your
Never.
bare paws.
Yeah, I've gotten Raynaud's symptoms, so I shouldn't have bare hands. No, just kidding. I do have Raynaud's symptoms, but it's not that bad. Yeah. No, I do a lot of the work before those projects are built. So the planning and helping whoever's developing the project, like figure out how much energy will be produced, figuring out what kind of layout, what equipment to use.
Cool.
So
Caitlin,
That's
that's
awesome.
amazing. You're working for the future. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're part of the carousel of progress of life, Caitlin.
Uh-huh. It's especially cool because you're in like the province that is known for oil.
for real. But there's so there's so much being built. Like right now, solar is really taking off in Alberta. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Neat.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So besides ourselves, I guess we should talk about Twin Peaks. What are our thoughts on Twin Peaks since we last saw and spoke about it? Do you hate Twin Peaks? Do you love Twin Peaks? Are you indifferent? Have you even thought about Twin Peaks?
Have you rewatched it?
Have you watched The Return? Reread any of these books? I know Brad reread at least one book. But,
You know what, guys?
Yeah,
I used to rewatch the series like usually about once a year, like the first 2 seasons. And I have not watched the original Twin Peaks since The Return came out. I did.
Really?
I did rewatch The Return because I was like, I just need to check, and I stopped. I did get like most of the way through. This was in lockdown, I believe, last year, and I couldn't watch the last, I think, 2 episodes, and I haven't watched any of it since. And the whole reason I just can't watch the original yet is because of what they did to Audrey, and I just can't. And also, I was part of the Twin Peaks festival after Return came out, so I was still part of Twin Peaks, you know what I mean? But I haven't actually sat and rewatched it since.
Yeah.
what about you, Caitlin?
Well, occasionally I think about it when I see my DVD boxes.
Oh yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Them?
No. I often use it just for random trivia facts when I'm talking to people. Other than that, I don't really think about it much.
So you
In general, though, pardon me?
Yeah,
No, I haven't watched anything.
Okay.
The last few years, the amount of TV I watched has dramatically decreased. So I really, don't watch much these days. Well, comparatively.
Probably the healthy way to go. Not watch TV every spare moment of your life.
Yeah.
Gus.
I think I kind of used it sometimes. It's just a bit of a coping mechanism for depression and stuff. So.
Well, yeah, we were all locked down for a long time, so nothing else to do. What about you, Brad? Have you thought about Twin Peaks? Rewatched any Twin Peaks? Been indifferent to Twin Peaks?
So I had to check my Plex server to be sure, but I've definitely rewatched part of the first and second season.
Oh, really?
So that's sometime in the last 3 years that's happened.
Wow.
Do you remember if it was just on your own or with somebody else?
No, I think it was just randomly. So it's a nice thing to just have on.
Yeah.
It's
Good
comforting.
music.
Yeah, it's the first two seasons, solid show. Firewalk with Me, solid. The Return can go fuck itself forever.
That's pretty much how I feel. Yeah.
Trash.
Yeah. What about you, Mel? It's
Well,
gonna be the same as me.
we did because of your brother, he wanted to show it because he had a girlfriend that he wanted to introduce it to, and then
Was it a
broke
test
up,
for
so we
her?
never finished it.
Oh,
No.
this was the cause of the breakup, or
No.
I think maybe. You know what? It could be. It could very well be.
No, we never get to the return, so no.
No.
But yeah, it's, I was really soured on the whole
Yeah.
franchise, immediately after the return. Not just because of the return, but because of people's reaction to people who don't like the return.
I think I was soured on it as well for exactly what you said, Matt, but also on the way the studio treated older Twin Peaks fans. I thought that sucked, the way that they, that's what, I didn't like that. And even though they were more involved in the return, but I was just like, it soured a bit, and I haven't quite got to watching it yet. I will. But I think Brad and I probably talked about Twin Peaks quite a bit in the years following, I guess because we podcast together like consistently pretty much since, apart from Carnicast, like particularly when we were doing X-Files and stuff, I think we would, talk about Twin Peaks because there's a lot of actors that carry over. And
the actors
like
always show up. Yeah, you can't help the actors.
And guys, if you think we've been too hard on Twin Peaks, feel free to go back and listen to our X-Files podcast.
This is
I
true.
mean, there's a chance. I will definitely watch Twin Peaks season 1 and 2 again. There is a chance I might watch The Return again. I will never watch X-Files again.
Really? Not even the early
Never.
seasons.
Nope, never,
No.
never.
Not even the most racist episode ever put on television.
Nope.
That just came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was a recent one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
My co-host Vix on Josie's Bar podcast is rewatching X-Files now, and I just keep begging. I'm like, just please don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Others have suffered, so you don't have to.
Some people just can't help themselves.
Buttons for
Yeah.
punishment. Yeah. We stayed away from all things Twin Peaks for a few years, and then probably 2019, 2020, I was like, I kind of want to watch the original show again. I'm getting nostalgic for it. Like, I still like it. I still like the original show and the movie and everything associated with the original era. But yeah, never again Twin Peaks The Return. You can't pay me to watch it again.
And there's a lot of rumours they're doing another project, aren't they? This Project Wisteria. A lot of people.
There was, and then
It's just gone. I don't keep up to date on
whatever it was
goss,
got cancelled or changed or something. I don't think that's happening anymore. But
okay.
Could be wrong.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, we did.
For the best.
Yeah. So yeah, we did leave one piece of Twin Peaks media uncovered. We pretty much did everything there was, I think. Until
you haven't reviewed my Twin Peaks tarot deck. I'm just saying. I mean, it was pretty rude.
Maybe we should.
Well, now you can't because it's
A
no
plus
longer
all
available.
around.
Thank
Plus
you.
every card.
Solid thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't even remember the name of the second book. Brad, what's the name of the book?
Okay. First, point number 1. The name of the book is Twin Peaks: The Final Dossier,
Right.
a novel.
Yeah.
Okay.
novel.
First of all, make up your mind. Is it a novel or is it a dossier?
It's not a novel.
It's not either.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Would you say, Brad, that this sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Interrupt, Matt. Would you say, Brad, before we get into it, that this book is what people genuinely wanted The Secret History of Twin Peaks to be when that came out, because they wanted to know what happened in between season 2 and season 3, and people were disappointed.
Like what I wanted. It sounds like what I wanted to have, but we didn't get. And now that we do have it, I don't care.
Yeah, that's it, because it came out after.
And also, I mean, this is also referencing that because it's Mark Frost just living in Mark Frost world, and it's very much like I just feel like it's him. Like, oh, actually, this is how it's supposed to be. I know maybe it wasn't clear because David lynched it. But I just want you guys to know what my story is because I really did write one and it really is very good. I promise.
So a lot of it, does some of it contradict what you remember from The Return, or?
No. It just kind of it's clearly like, first of all, again, I cannot state how thin this thing is. I looked at it on Audible to see like what the actual runtime of an audio version of it would be, and it is like 4 hours. Like,
okay, yeah, that's pretty.
So it's teensy. It is paper thin. It honestly, a lot of it feels like a kid who is like making the margins bigger on his fucking paper to turn in, because it's so like.
Is it double spaced?
Because it has all the headers, so it looks like a document. So you're looking at FBI documents. And there's just like every little section like ends, and then there's like a black page, there's filler, and it's just.
And then there's like a spread of photos.
Yeah,
and then it goes into the next section. Yeah.
This is so thin, it's nothing. And yeah, we're just going through theoretically, we're going through character by character, but again, it needs an editor. It needs somebody to clean this up because it's like he decided to tell a story, and it's just sprawling, and we're kind of jumping around.
Does it feel like all the cut scenes from something else?
I no, because like honestly, I started trying to make really detailed notes on it, and then like I stopped because it's also wildly uneven. Because honestly, I think the largest sections overall are probably go to Annie's mother. I say Annie's mother, not Norma's mother.
Oh,
what?
They have different mothers now?
Yeah. So,
what?
And until we got to this, I didn't understand what was going on, because again, it's been so long.
Yeah.
And I guess there was always like a mistake that they needed to fix, where like I guess early on in the series that they said something about her father had died, and then that when they brought in Annie, it just kind of fucked everything up, because clearly they made that up after the fact, which is what happens. It's fine. So to retcon that, this like goes out of its way to explain Norma's family.
Okay.
So we have to learn so we spend so long in that, going through the whole explanation of exactly who the hell Vivian is, and who's the father, and
wait, Vivian's my mum. Am I the third sister?
Related?
Are you the third sister?
It's a mess. It's a mess. So I feel like the largest section is devoted to that, to the Dr. Jacoby section, and honestly, I consider the whole like, I'm gonna say last fourth, but I think that may be generous, is sort of explaining what happened in season 3.
Okay.
Like, it's just kind of recontextualizing it in, a way as streamlined as possible, while still being vague and still being in the format of this dumb book.
Okay,
Do
can
you
you
think,
tell...
Brad, that if they... Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, do you think, Brad, that if they, like, really edited this book because it is so thin, and they edited the hell out of the first one because it needs it, they could have combined them both and made, like, a really nice, tight, actually really good book.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. They could have made one better book, definitely.
Yes, yeah.
Can you tell if the final episode of The Return retcons this entire book's existence?
Oh, I feel like this book, explains the last episode of The Return.
Okay, because I could make neither heads nor tails of that. Was it a whole new universe?
That's the thing that fucking blew my mind. That like, I honestly, until about an hour ago, if maybe I didn't finish it the first time I read this. It's possible, because I feel like I would have remembered this, and that's why I asked Claire what she remembered, because she doesn't remember this either.
Nope.
And let's just go ahead and jump to it, because I do want to go back through and like go over everything. But so at the end, when we're done explaining the plot of The Return, basically, and it's still vague and it's still not great, but whatever. So Tammy's talking about how that she was looking at some documents about Laura Palmer's disappearance. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, wait, disappearance? But she was murdered. But suddenly she couldn't find any information about a body wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
So she just disappeared now. And she was like, and it's so strange. I talked to some of the people in town, and everyone was seemed like confused for a second. It was like, yeah, that's how I remember it. And so so everybody's memory is vaguely changing about what happened.
What?
But she wasn't found murdered. Now she disappeared.
Okay, so it's like a localized shifting of time or something?
But that's the thing. Documents are changing, but I'm like, and in the book, it's like, I'm writing this as fast as I can before I forget it. And I'm like,
I do remember that, yeah.
But if the other documents change, why isn't this document changing?
The one that you're reading in your hands, you mean?
Yeah. Like, I mean, fine. Fine. If that's how you want to do this, fine. But it completely contradicts everything else.
That's kind of funny. So, universe is changing. In the last-ditch effort, Tammy scribbles it all down and threw it into our universe for safekeeping.
Multiverse.
But it's like the universe. I mean, the events changed, and everyone has vague memories, and it's like, oh, everything's changing, but we know it happened. But other people were there, and Leland committed suicide, but it was because he was distraught over his daughter's disappearance. So I'm like, well, so I mean, that sucks. Like, what is this shit?
It's like you can't trust anything that anybody tells you in this world anymore, and that's really disappointing.
Nothing matters. I hated that about the last episode.
Yeah, nothing.
Exactly.
Remember that series you love? Forget it.
The other thing is, it's like because we have all this stuff where he's really holding your hands because he thinks he's created something really smart. He's like, oh. And the Tammy character is just the way she's like, now I don't know if this is the case, but what if possibly that blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, all right, Mark Frost, I get it. I understand what you're trying to tell me. Why do you have to have the character sound like they're just winging this random fucking theory you've made up? But it's like this whole thing, because they go into the whole thing about but Philip Jeffries, but what if when he entered the portal, then possibly it's that he was confused because he didn't realize he was going to be at a different place and time, and that's why he was so confused, because he thought he was meeting the evil Coop that he had just met. But actually this, and what if this? And I'm like, yeah, okay, but if that happens out of time and things are happening in out of order, then you can't also change time, because that throws the whole predestination thing off, which whatever, it's fine.
How does she know all this stuff? She wasn't there.
Yeah, well, because she's got reports from people that are vague and whatever.
That could be wrong. They could be wrong.
And they could be changing as time changes. I don't understand. That's, you can hand wave that because that's, that's weird fantasy sci-fi trope shit. Fine. Okay. It's not good, but fine. Whatever. At least it helps with the ending, because it's like, okay, well, now I understand what's going on with Laura Palmer. My big question now is, I really wish I understood the process of how they made that, how you work with David Lynch. When you have Mark Frost, who's come up with these stories, and clearly there's story beats there, and then you give it to David Lynch, and what does that conversation look like? Because clearly he's going to do his own thing.
Yeah, and it becomes something completely different.
Yeah, and it's like, you hope, if you're Mark Frost, I guess you just hope there's enough connective tissue there that it works, and you have to trust him because David Lynch is brilliant. Question mark. But but I feel like this book is really just like, but actually, guys, here's what's going on, because I wrote it all down, and these are my notes that I had before the show even came out, so it actually all makes sense.
All right.
I can't remember if they go into Judy or whatever they called her in the Return, Judy.
Yeah.
Judy. Yeah.
Judy a monkey. Judy's a demon, devil.
Demon. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's a whole thing. There's a whole section on Judy. And again, I say chapter in this, I'm using the word chapter so very vaguely, because it's practically nothing. I'm trying to find Judy. Here we go. Page 121 and page 122. Well, half of page 122. Sorry. It's nothing.
That's all that's dedicated to
You need to do it like a teacher, Brad, and say, class, please turn to page 121.
If everyone please could turn to page 121.
Okay,
Judy,
I'm there.
Jowdy, it turns out, is also the name of an ancient entity in Sumerian mythology. This dates back to at least 3000 BC. The name was used to describe a species of wandering demon, also generically known as the Utuku that had escaped from the underworld and roamed freely throughout the earth, where they feasted on human flesh and allegedly ripped souls. Allegedly. I love these things definitely exist, but allegedly they ripped souls. God, Mark Frost.
And it was like the female I remember this now. There was like a male demon and a female demon.
Yeah.
And the male was Baal, who was later known as Beelzebub and later known as the devil. So Jowdy is like the female devil.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Last paragraph. So what do we do with this information, question mark? How does it change the focus of what we're looking at here, if at all? What concrete leads was Jeffries onto? Are these just the insane ramblings of a man who, as you well know, swam in a sea filled with extravagant and esoteric conspiracy theories? A sure sign that he lost not only his way but his mind? Or do we calmly sit with this information and see whether and how it fits into what we already know? In other words, do our jobs.
Does it explain why Philip Jeffries turned into a teapot?
No.
Damn it!
Well, I mean, he went through the portal, and the portal, things are different, and, you know. I mean, clearly Teapot is David Lynch stuff. Like, I don't think Mark Frost is thinking about Teapot people.
No.
Like, okay. I mean, you know, there's some charm. Despite my misgivings about modern David Lynch, I do like the fact that like he clearly gets like, you know, he gets some note cards from Mark Frost, and it's like, yeah, Philip Jeffries has come through the portal, and so he's outside of time and space, and he's doing his own thing. And David Lynch says, yeah, Teapot, definitely.
I'm sure that had to do with David Bowie being dead as well, but yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But still, who thinks teapot?
That's great. That's why you give David Lynch money. He's the man that thinks teapot.
Maybe David Lynch was hanging out with like the grandkids or whatever, and one of the kids was singing "I'm a little teapot, short and stout," and he went, "Say,
I can use this."
Exactly.
Caitlin, what's a character from Twin Peaks that you didn't feel got their due diligence in The Return, and you'd like to hear if they have any mention in the book? Can you think of anyone?
Well, I will first start by saying, I remember, the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks. I have very little memory of this third season of Twin Peaks. Yeah,
I don't blame you.
I remember very little of what happened, so I can't say.
Okay, who's one of your favorite Twin Peaks characters then? Let's see if there's anything about them in the book.
Audrey was always one of my favorite ones.
There's a lot of Audrey in there, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a chapter, but yes. So,
what do we learn about Audrey?
I mean, let's just preface with that there's a strong running theme through this book of female characters have either been abused, raped, had a mental breakdown and ended up in a mental institution, or become drug addicts.
Yep.
That's, I mean, if there's any theme to this book, it's that. So,
used with.
Yeah, I mean, but specifically, abused, raped, drug addict, or mental breakdown institutionalized.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's no good.
Yeah, it's not good at all. And Audrey, woke up after the bank explosion, and a couple of weeks later, 2.5 weeks pregnant.
Ugh.
So that's not great. So
and that was Doppel Cooper, right?
Yeah, it's not full. Yeah, it's pretty much that full out. Yeah, he definitely raped her. So cool. She never spoke to Ben Horn afterwards because of the whole Ghostwood thing, because he sold that to a private prison. Cool. She got a GED and opened a beauty salon, which she ran until 2013. Never let her son meet his grandfather. What was that?
Her evil child.
Yeah. Never let him meet his grandfather. Probably a good job, but still he's a monster.
I am really hating that The Return is all coming back to me right now.
Yeah, it's not great.
Like, you're telling me all this stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
You mean like the whole thing of like, Audrey having a son, and then like, you know, with evil Coop, and so that happened. You think, well, he must have a point, because they wouldn't just have evil Coop like horrifically rape Audrey to create this son for no reason, and in the end they just kill off the son and it's completely inconsequential.
Yeah. 10 years later, she marries her accountant for money. Eventually closes her salon in 2013. And then it just kind of goes into Ben Horn a little bit, because, again, this book is unfocused. Ben Horn lives in the Great Northern. He gets a divorce pretty soon after these events. He regrets selling the Ghostwood, because everybody hates that ugly, cheap-ass prison. So there's that. So that's Ben and Audrey.
Well, how did Audrey, what triggered her mental breakdown? Do we know?
Like all of the stuff. I should definitely mention
the Antichrist.
Yeah, that would do it. Yeah, I mean, I think that whole, rape thing, being a single mother, marrying a man for money, in a terrible abusive relationship there.
It seems like it came later, closer to when we saw her. So.
And then of course, drugs and alcohol and a mental breakdown.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
a culmination.
Yeah. She gets all the boxes.
Yeah. So. That's what happens to one of your favorite characters, everyone.
Yeah.
And for what?
Yes. Why?
She didn't deserve any of it.
We thought the worst thing that was going to happen to her in season 1 and 2 was that she was going to end up with Billy Zane. And little did we know that it would get worse than that.
She would have been better off if she did.
I don't expect everything to have a rosy ending or anything. I wasn't gonna expect Twin Peaks: The Return to be la la la, puppies and kittens and rainbows and things, but
it's just needless cruelty to a character, and then it didn't serve any purpose. Yeah.
Don't worry, one of the Hayward sisters came out okay.
She escaped the attic.
That's right.
I think she was a veterinarian. I've already forgotten, because it's literally one sentence.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one who recited poetry, probably.
I think
Harriet?
So. Yes.
So what happened to Donna? Because there's no Donna mentions in The Return.
Yeah. Oh boy, Donna. Yikes.
Well, I mean, we all knew she was going to turn out to be a mess, but
yeah. So after the whole events of with Doc Hayward and Ben Horn, that whole situation. Well, let me go into Doc Hayward first, because
yeah, was there any repercussions for almost killing Ben Horn?
Well, he didn't kill Ben Horn. He gave him a concussion. Yeah. But one of my favorite things about this book, and I think it's clearly an accident, but I like to pretend because it talks about how the same night, it talks about how suspicious it is that Doc Hayward brought in Ben Horn, who had a concussion at his home, and is really throwing some suspicion on that, because it's he says he fell and hit his head. And then later that same night, Agent Cooper, Doc Hayward again brought Agent Cooper into the hospital with a concussion, having hit his head. And it's that there's a veiled insinuation that Doc Hayward is a serial concussor.
Trying to Maxwell silver hammer everyone.
I just love the idea that this old man just goes around knocking people over and giving them concussions. It's great. Yeah.
On top of that,
I think the thing that going back to sorry, Mal, go on.
No, sorry, I was just gonna say. On top of that, he's a doctor and he's a do no harm.
Hippocratic oath. What
Hippocratic oath? Go ahead, Claire.
Oh no, I was gonna say, just going back to Audrey for a sec as well. The thing, and I think I've mentioned before that one of the things that I think does kind of sour the original series slightly is that in the series 1 and 2, the relationship between her and Coop was so innocent, and it was pure, you know what I mean? And obviously it wasn't that Coop that assaulted her, but it's a shadow version of him. There is some link there. That's the same face. That's the face that she would have trusted. Mm-hmm. And I just can't go back to watching those scenes. So that's what really annoys me about The Return, is that it's soured that relationship.
Yeah.
Because
You gotta-
you're not going to be able to watch it without thinking of what eventually happens to her. You know.
I can. I've erased.
And
Like I
the same
vaguely
thing,
remember what
whenever he talks
happens.
whenever
but
he
it
talks
doesn't
to
happen.
Diane in the original series, I'm just going to be like, yeah, but
No, Diane's not Laura Dern. That never happened.
Series 3 is just it's a vague memory that fades away as soon as we stop talking about it. Much like Laura Palmer's death in this book.
So yeah, what else happened to Donna?
So pretty soon Doc Hayward and his wife get a divorce. He moves to Vermont.
Everybody gets divorced.
Yeah, everybody's getting divorced. That's the other thing that happens a lot. Everybody's getting divorced. They get a divorce. He moves to Vermont. Donna, after she graduates top of her class, moves to New York and becomes a model and cuts off contact with everybody.
Whoa.
Because she's a famous model. And in the end of the 90s, she marries a guy that's 20 years older than her, who's like a .com startup tech guy. I just
It's
imagine
James in
Elon Musk.
disguise.
We'll get to James.
Yeah.
We will get to James, who is really Jamesing it up, by the way. She marries like a tech douche. She runs into Lana Milford at a party, which we'll get back to her, but they make a point of that. Eventually, of course, problems in the relationship. She becomes a drug addict, that goes to a rehab, goes to another rehab, eventually is forced into a psych ward after she's found in a crack house after the death of her mother, whom she did not go to the funeral for. She divorces her husband and eventually is reconciled with her father, who, by the way, is still being a doctor in his 70s, by the way. She becomes his assistant and is studying to become a nurse practitioner. So, in the end, I guess it works out for her. After all of the drug rehab and psych ward from her nervous breakdown.
Yes, as is the style with all the Twin Peaks ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Gersten Hayward.
Oh man.
This is the one that actually showed up in the series,
Yeah.
right? Was dating somebody.
Yeah,
And
she was.
Steven.
Yeah. She was the piano prodigy. If anyone doesn't remember, she went to college early. In her second year of Stanford, had a nervous breakdown and had to move home. Became addicted to opioids on and off again with drug dealer Steve. We saw all that.
The heck?
Jeez.
Are there any men who have drug problems in the series?
Please
Or
say
in the
James.
book?
Well, I feel like that's a great segue to Jerry Horn.
Okay.
Did you know that Jerry Horn was largely behind marijuana legalization in Washington State?
What?
Yep, he was one of the people behind the scenes largely responsible for that.
Wow.
He's got the most successful marijuana business in the state, with strains such as Whose Hands Are These, Collateral Damage, and The Center Will Not Hold.
That first one's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely.
And now he talks to his shoes.
Yeah. He's planning on opening a brick and mortar marijuana shop currently, which will probably be huge. Also, his only real outside friend outside of the family is Dr. Jacoby.
Oh.
And of course, as we all know, I'm sure this was. I don't remember this being in the show, but I'm pretty sure this was in season 3. Neil Young helped him design a giant stereo system that caused an avalanche.
No.
Oh, that was, they didn't cover that.
No.
No? What the hell?
Like Twin Peaks
This
had
sounds
an avalanche.
wacky.
He created a giant stereo system that was like in a barn, and it he would go out on a canoe or something, and he would pump it up so loud that at one point it caused a small avalanche.
Yeah, I don't mind some of these stories. Just the
Yeah.
ones about the women,
Oh yeah,
falling.
there's a huge difference between the men's stories and the women's stories.
Yeah. Anything attached to those kinds of stories, or the return and its investigation of weirdness, I don't care for. But these funny little quirky stories are great.
What the hell happened to these creators in 30 years that made them want to shit on women so badly? Because they were creating such strong female characters, and then all of a sudden
Yeah, I don't know.
they just get the shit end of the stick.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
What about Dr. Jacoby, Brad?
Oh, Dr. Jacoby.
Because we obviously know he becomes Dr. Amp. That was his name, wasn't he? With the golden shovels.
Dr. Jacoby is the straight up Forrest Gump of Twin Peaks world. There's a lot of nonsense in there. It's real. I feel it really is one of the longest sections because it also spirals off into everything else. But so he spent most of 1994, 1995 on tour with the Grateful Dead until Jerry Garcia died. So he was there for that.
Okay.
Afterwards, he went to Florida in 2000 for the Hanging Chad recount vote. And I'm about to. Mark Frost can go fuck himself to hell forever and always. Because he went down to give free counseling to defensive Ralph Nader voters.
Okay.
Mark Frost is a fucking idiot. And like anybody complaining about Ralph Nader in 2000 can fuck right off to hell. Because Ralph Nader didn't affect the 2000 vote. Like, the Supreme Court affected the 2000 vote. George W. Bush lost in Florida, but the Supreme Court stopped the recount. Al Gore won. Like, they stopped counting the votes. Ralph Nader had nothing to do with the year 2000. So, like, this fucking sly joke about defensive Ralph Nader voters is stupid as fuck.
It's a long time to hold on to that.
Yeah, like a grudge.
It really is. Like, it's insane because also on top of all that, the number of Ralph Nader voters, much like Jill Stein voters, is not enough to affect any election. Like, it's not, and definitely not in 2000. Like, and also Al Gore won in 2000. Be pissed off at the Supreme Court, you dummy.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, it's Mark Frost. What are you gonna do? There's that little jive. Afterwards, he was in New York on 9/11.
Okay.
And he said, well, basically that was karma, which...
What?
I mean, I'll agree with that, honestly. Like, you know, yeah, sure.
It's probably too soon, though, at the time. I picture him...
Definitely.
I picture him, you know, at the base of the towers as they're coming down, and he's like, shrugs his shoulders and goes, karma.
This is the price of U.S. imperialism. I mean, I agree, absolutely. But, like, yeah, definitely not a great thing to be saying at the time in the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there more Jacoby, or?
Yo, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jacoby.
It really is. So he moves back to Twin Peaks and lives in seclusion, which is pretty much like his whole like operation. I mean, it's not much of an operation. He has like his little like mobile home like shack that he lives on. He lives a quiet life. He's got some land, but it's pretty much funded by Jerry Horn, which I really do like the pair of them. Like, that's fun to me.
Yeah. If Jerry Horn becomes, you know, a big drug head, then yeah, I can see
exactly
them being friends.
Yeah, for sure.
So in 2006, he started his Dr. Ant Blasts, which were streaming live, and also then after streaming, he would put it out as one of the earliest podcasts in 2006. So,
Preceding our
podcasting.
He beat us.
He beat us.
Yeah. He beat me by 3 years, so that's pretty early, 2006.
That is.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Was he one of the earliest ones? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, like I feel like Ricky Gervais was pretty much the first one.
I think the first one I started listening to was Keith and the Girl in 2005, maybe.
Oh wow.
You know the first one I listened to? The Twin Peaks podcast.
So it originally nobody knew from where the broadcasts were coming or whom, and no one even really realized it was Dr. Jacoby until he started doing video streams in 2012, which is great. He basically it became really popular regionally, and then it was kind of spreading out. But he had lots of offers to go national with his show, but he turned them all down because he didn't really give a fuck about money. Because he had like a little teacher life that was like pretty simple. And then he started selling his gold shovels, which he didn't really need the money. So he actually donated about 90% of his profits to charities and causes. So
That's pretty
Kind
good.
of nice.
that's nice. Yeah.
Pretty good for a crazy person.
Yeah. So he's not like full Alex Jones where he's just like a greedy lunatic. He's just a lunatic.
Yeah. And that's a lovable lunatic.
Yeah, good-hearted.
Yeah.
So the only other thing with Dr. Jacoby is, him and Nadine obviously eventually get together.
Perfect couple.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah.
What about? Go ahead.
What about? Yeah, is there anything else about Nadine? What else happened to her?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh no! Don't tell me
So-
this involves drugs.
Don't ask about the female
No.
characters, Caitlin.
No, honestly, Nadine comes. Well, there is a nervous breakdown, but it's Nadine.
I feel like her entire life has been a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just go through the breakdown. Ah, fuck. I guess we need to get to Annie before we go through Ed and Norma and Nadine.
Should we first of all, like, because I know, like, Claire has, like, probably about 7 minutes before she has to go. I don't know if you'd want to, like,
Yeah, do you
say
wanna-
some last words before...
Do you want to say your
no.
thoughts?
Last words as if you're gonna die. Any last words?
Do I get a
Right?
last
In
meal?
6 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't wait to listen to the rest of this recap because I'm remembering all these bits and going, oh, that's right. Oh,
So
no.
you did read the whole book? You think you did?
I did, yeah, I think I did. Because I do remember when Brad said about the thing about, like Tammy at the end being like, oh, I'm writing this as quick as I can. I remember that. I'm looking through the book now and there is so much filler at the end. It's insane.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. And I remember there was a lot of stuff about Annie, and I feel like there was controversy about the stuff with Annie in the Twin Peaks
I imagine.
fandom, but I cannot remember why. So it'll be interesting to sort of hear that again. Yeah. So that's it. They're my final words.
Just wanted to see if you had anything definitive you wanted to state on the record about this book.
Oh, just
But you're
pile of
welcome.
garbage.
You're welcome to hang out until you can't anymore.
yeah, I will do. Yeah.
Okay.
Final words. I don't know. The book is not needed. They should have combined them into one book. The two books. They should have done that.
Mhm.
Hopefully, one day I can rewatch season 1 and 2 and feel the love again. I'm sure I will.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
I
also,
hated season 3 with a passion.
oh,
Still do.
man. And also, listening to the Twin Peaks podcast, first podcast I ever listened to, and that got me into podcasting and doing Carnicast with Matt and Mel, and Tammy, which was how I met Tammy, and I've been podcasting with Tammy ever since.
Oh.
What about Brad?
And Brad. But Brad wasn't on Carnicast.
Brad
so
just
me
happened
and Brad took a break, and then we combined with our podcast empire, didn't we, Brad? Taking over the world. Yeah. And I made some awesome friends, and you guys are all awesome, and it's so lovely talking to you guys again.
Thanks.
Wonderful. And maybe when we decide to revisit the show again, maybe we can come back in like 5-10 years time and just be like, hey, we rewatched the show. Here's our new thoughts.
Or we listen to the old episodes of the Twin Peaks podcast and we review those.
Yeah.
No.
Oh man, no, that's
Oh my god. Listen to how horrible this is.
Or maybe there'll be a season 4 by then. Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh,
or maybe a remake.
Yeah,
Ooh, a
that's
reboot.
probably more likely.
yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. A reboot.
There you go. You guys could do an episode and you can cast the remake.
Huh.
We should get
Oh, yeah.
everyone.
Well, Kermit the Frog is going to be Dale Cooper.
I hope so. Ooh, a Muppet Twin Peaks. A very Muppet.
Yes.
I think they did that on Sesame Street.
They did.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
But it should be like a full series.
Full series of Twin Beaks.
As
Yeah.
Muppet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I would watch it.
But
All
you
right.
guys carry on, and I will duck out in a minute.
Okay. All right. Back to you, Brad.
Okay. I guess let's work our way through Norma's family tree
Okay.
to Annie.
I'm so surprised that this is crucial.
It's like, because it's clearly something that's really vexed Mark Frost. And I mean, I get it. Like, you change things. You wanted to bring in, like, the Annie character, and like apparently changed how you dealt with everything else because the father should have been dead and whatever. So it has to go to this back-breaking explanation that, like, okay, that woman that came into the show that we thought was Norma's mother wasn't. It's actually her stepmother. What? Because her father basically left the family when they said he died. He didn't die. He just left the family in 1978. But it was like he was dead to them. So
Okay.
but he had already been like cheating on his wife with this other woman in this seedy motel that he ran elsewhere in Washington. In 1985, after Norma's mother had died, he left Norma and his first wife. Eventually, Norma's mother dies in 85. They kind of have a little bit of a reconciliation. Basically, he's near death, and then she finds out about Annie when Annie's 12. So Norma had no idea that Annie existed until she was 12. This other woman, Vivian, whom we had thought was the mother before, eventually gets Marty Lindstrom to marry her. He's near death anyway, so basically, so they finally marry. She gets his money. She's a monster, as we all know. Yeah. So he dies. Then she marries Roland Blackburn, whom adopts Annie. So that's why her name's Blackburn. After a few weeks, they ship Annie off to a Catholic boarding school. Then they don't even see her for the first year. Norma's the only person that even visits Annie. That's how shitty these people are. 3 years later, she's home for Christmas break finally, I guess. And stepfather Roland tries to rape her. And then there's a fight. And then Roland drives off, and he drives off a bridge. Possibly his brake line had been cut. So
what's going on in this town?
Was this happening in Twin Peaks?
No, this is elsewhere. I think this is in Seattle.
Oh, okay.
After this, Annie attempts suicide, and she's sent to the same psych facility that Nadine had been sent to. So there's a fun connection. Isn't that fun?
So fun!
So fun with the attempted suicide. So then Vivian, Annie goes back to school after that. Vivian marries that Ernie guy that was actually in the show, so finally we're somewhere where we understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. Obviously, after graduation, Annie's like, you know what, I'm gonna be a nun, and then she's like, no, I'm not gonna be a nun. Then she goes to Twin Peaks. Alright, caught up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I mean, there's so much, like, it takes so long for them to explain all that fucking setup, just to, like, explain how this is not actually Norma's mother, but she tries to be cordial for Annie's sake.
And this family is, like, not really important in, like, a cosmic sense. Are they like Annie was not destined to be this person who got sucked in the Black Lodge or anything, or it had to be her or anything, was it? Like,
no.
So why do we care?
We're just
the tree.
It's just Mark Frost. Like, I didn't make a mistake, guys. I didn't make a mistake. This is actually makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay.
He's so defensive. It's sad.
So what happened after How's Annie?
Well, hold on. Let's spend a little bit more time with Vivian and Ernie. Why not? They're our favorite characters. So after, like, Ernie helps them, like, bust the Renaults, Vivian divorces him when he gets back to Seattle. He died in 2005, by the way. Drugs and alcohol, various arrests, blah blah blah. Tammy feels bad for him because clearly Vivian took advantage of him and used him. Whatever. Who cares? Vivian marries again, this time to a really rich guy who eventually dies in 2009. She died in 2013, very rich and comfortable, and having paid no price for all of her evil shit.
Probably no taxes.
Definitely. He died choking on a fucking cruise, by the way. He choked to death on a cruise ship. The last fourth husband.
He was eating a cruise ship?
Yeah, he was eating a cruise ship, as you do. People get bored easily.
I thought you were going to say crouton.
Same.
At first.
Yeah, same.
But then when you said cruise ship, I was like, cruise ship?
I mean, the idea, like, anyone, like, if you're a rich person that dies eating on a cruise ship, like everyone should get to piss on your grave. Like, you're a monster. It's like the most repulsive, like, rich person way to die.
Yeah.
Into Annie.
Yes.
Which will get us to Ed and Norma, which, that'll be fun. So the book even says, I think, and also, again, because obviously the TV show happens over, you're seeing a long period of time condensed, a short period of time stretched out over many episodes. So the sentence, I like to think the couple of weeks she was at the Double R were the happiest of her life.
It seemed like it.
I was like, oh god, that was just a couple of weeks of time. I mean, I know it was like, most of a season and all, but yeah, it was just a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, yeah. So also the Annie chapter again is what's labeled as the Annie chapter is one sentence about Annie, and then it randomly starts talking about Wyndham Earl, and then it comes back to Annie after the Wyndham Earl chapter.
Mm-hmm.
God, so bad, just badly laid out. So back in Twin Peaks, Annie was initially thought to be fine after she's taken to the hospital. But then she went into an unexplained coma for 10 days. She woke up.
Comas in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, she woke up after that. But she was, she wasn't communicating. She didn't speak. Just kind of, locked in, trapped. But her eyes looked happy, not weary and sad, but peaceful.
Okay,
what?
So that makes it okay.
What?
2
Her
months
eyes
later,
looked happy when she was in a coma. Her eyes.
No,
were
after
open?
she woke up.
Oh,
she was like vacant but happy.
Yeah, so she's just like sitting like she can like get up but she can't feed herself. She can't do anything. She can't communicate. But she doesn't look sad. She looks peaceful and happy, but out of it. 2 months later, Norma's finally able to take her home. Now, of course, it took a lot of caring for her, because as we all remember from the end of season 2, it's like, oh well, it looks like Ed and Norma can finally get together, but obviously Norma's very busy taking care of Annie now.
Yeah.
So about a year after she came home with Norma, Norma came home to find her having slit her wrist. With some broken glass, but then vacant again. They get her to the hospital and she says, I'm fine, and then went back to not communicating.
Slitting her wrist, like happy people do.
Yeah, they were able to bandage her up. She was fine, but obviously she couldn't be left alone, so they of course had to send her to a mental institution.
Like,
so,
who said she was happy? Because I feel like this person has no kind of like they
read
just
on humans.
no read on people. Like they're just like, oh yeah, she looks happy. Like they're
she's fine, except
blind to other people's emotions.
Except
like
in
true emotional state.
The first moment of lucidity she has, she tries to kill herself.
Yeah.
No, it's in Mark Frost's mind. Like, just imagine a woman that's not having any vexing problems is perfectly happy. She's just being seen and not heard.
Oh.
So
really,
every year.
Oh my god, I hope not. I hope he's not like that. He probably is. Oh god.
I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's probably just old and dumb. Like, I don't think he's necessarily malicious. I just think he's old and dumb.
He's not
and not a good writer.
He's like writing all these stories separately, and he's just not looking at the big picture. Like, I seem to have done some sort of a pattern with all the female characters.
I mean, like, this is just a cash grab. Like, this is just like a collection of notes. Yeah. Like, this motherfucker's been writing long enough. Like, I don't know if they rushed him or like we got to get this book out. Like, what the deal was, but this shit it's just sad. So every year, every year at 8:28 a.m., on the anniversary of when she came out of the Black Lodge, she says, "I'm fine," in response to some hallucination that's not there. So
Somebody asking, how's Annie?
Yeah. So that happens every year.
So that's the rest of her life.
That's the rest of her life. She's still peacefully in a daze. But she looks great. It also goes to a point to point out that she still looks young and she still looks great.
Oh, God. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask about. Oh, is there more about her?
No. That's all about Annie.
I'm gonna ask about specific characters that I love that are generally comic relief, and I hope nothing bad happened to
Are you
them.
gonna ask about Andy and Lucy?
I'm gonna ask about Lucy and Andy and Dick Tremaine and the son there. I can't remember his name.
Not even mentioned.
What?
Andy gets one mention, which is in the Ed Norma stuff. Which let's just do that.
Building that. Yeah.
Might
as well go to that because you were building to it. I forgot.
Yeah. Because again, all this shit runs together, like, and not in a way like a novel would, but just in like a badly laid out way. So obviously they couldn't get back together. With Annie, Norma's dealing with Annie, so that's a whole thing. Then just as, she gets sent to the institution, so it's like, oh, well, maybe they'll be able to get together now. Nadine has a nervous breakdown, of course. Mm-hmm. So that was a thing. So like, all right, well, let's gotta wait again. After this, we get to James. Ed, of course, had to go and stay with James every other week because he wasn't allowed to leave Oregon.
Okay. Why?
Why? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, because of court order. Because his when he fled a warrant because he left in the middle of the trial, the Marsh trial. Oh. Because he was a witness, obviously, but he was being intimidated. And he thought they were going to press charges on him because he got caught in a lie or something on the stand.
So he became a fugitive and made it worse for himself.
Yeah, so he became a fugitive and ran away to Mexico, where he was under a fake name. He was working at a car shop, and where he met the leader of a Mexican cartel whose car he fixed. And that guy offered him a job, and soon James was fixing up all of his fancy cars because he's very rich because he runs a drug cartel. Then there was a gang shootout, and James was the only survivor. And he got kicked out of Mexico, and that's when he got arrested, and then finally sent back to Oregon, where he had to stand trial. I think he had 6 months in jail, and then he was not allowed to leave the state under house arrest. So Ed, to keep James in line, would go up and stay with him every other week to make sure he didn't do anything stupid again.
I was gonna say he's always making stupid decisions, and everything you just described probably came about from stupid decisions.
Yeah, that I like that. I was like that tracks. I like that.
Yeah. That sounds like that would be his destiny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
what happened the last time you started working on cars for a rich person, James?
Seriously. Yeah. So dumb. After this, Nadine had opened her drapery shop, which was surprisingly successful. Because, Mark Frost can't have a woman be successful without it being a surprise. And of all the stress of the shop and everything, Ed was afraid to leave her because it's this is too much already. So then they can't get together because of that. So James finally out of house arrest. He's on the road, open road on his motorcycle. And a runaway coal truck totaled his motorcycle and broke his leg in 2006.
Okay.
So he came back to Twin Peaks and worked for Ed, and he was a night watchman at the Great Northern, whatever. And of course, Ed and Norma aren't able to finally get together until Jacoby and Nadine get together, and she files for divorce. Ed and Norma get married. James played a song at the wedding. And Andy cried.
Is that Andy's only mention?
That's the only mention of Andy.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
That's all for him. Yeah.
Wow.
There's a section on the Log Lady that is just that segment they filmed of her before they, for the return. Mm-hmm. They just basically put that in the book.
Oh, that's
just put it all in there. It's Hawk received a letter from her. Here it is. That's the chapter on her.
Is there anything on Hawk?
Not really.
Oh.
I think he also shed a tear at the wedding.
Was there garbage laying around like that? Like that horrible commercial.
Yeah. So, what else is there? There's a whole thing about Wyndham Earl that spans like 3 chapters, most of which aren't the Wyndham Earl chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think it's a lot of just like fixing things from that Coop tapes thing.
Okay.
Apparently there were mistakes in there, so it's like, the mistakes are all because Diane's a selfish fuck that messed with it. So anything that was edited out or that there's a plot hole, that's just because Diane did it.
So Mark Frost's "A Wizard Did It" is Diane fucked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's pretty fun.
I do love the fact that, and I don't remember if this was because it's hard for me to tell like what was in that or what was eventually in the series or what's Mark Frost trying to fix now.
Mm-hmm.
But they talk about, the whole Wyndham Earl being a serial killer and that Caroline and Coop had figured it out and that's why he was going to kill them. And that he went away for killing Caroline and they just kind of like shuffled, like they didn't pursue the serial killer charges against him because they were like, the Caroline stuff is enough. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what about the victims of that serial killer?
Yeah. Does it say how many?
That the families would have wanted to press charges.
Yeah.
Like how prolific was he as a serial killer?
Yeah, does it go into that?
It does not.
That could have been interesting.
I'm like, what? Like, that is wild. And it's like, so the FBI is just protecting their own. They don't want them to reveal that one of theirs is a serial killer.
Oh, that tracks.
Yeah. I mean, it's not stated at all. And I don't think it was necessarily intentional because I don't think Mark Frost
thinks about those things.
No, he's definitely not thinking about those things. But I'm like, yeah, fuck these fucking cops.
So he was totally phoning it in when he wrote this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
in some ways, but in others, he's like, I need to correct these mistakes that people keep bugging me about.
Yeah, I feel like these are like convention questions he just like keeps getting and he has to fix now.
Yeah.
It's like half of the book is like either stuff we've already seen in any of the other series or other books. There's also a lot of references to that last book.
Yeah, which I can't remember.
I don't know if he realizes that he's just creating more questions for people. If people are even interested. Like, the hardcore fans might be, but, I mean, if anybody even cares anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then we go into, Lana, we go into her.
Oh, yes.
How she got the green ring.
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And they go into, like, she's, she has a ton of rich husbands that die.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually she doesn't have the ring anymore. And then the chapter just kind of vaguely, like, we don't know what happened to her.
She's probably in a mental institution.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing. She's not as pretty anymore.
Oh.
What?
She's aged. How terrible.
Wow.
That is the ultimate old person comment.
Yeah.
Like, always commenting on people's looks and
their appearance.
How they've aged or how they haven't.
Especially for female characters.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's so, like, I think, like, that was, like, the one that just really... here we go. Lana certainly had amassed enough bank by this point to call it a day, and to put it kindly, with regard to her preferred line of work, the engine was still running, but the chassis needed an overhaul. Anyway, who cares? As my mother used to say, trash is trash, even if it's in a Tiffany bag.
Wow.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh, cool. Very cool. Oh, and also we reference Vivian again in there.
Again?
Sorry, let me just back up and read this. As a kindred spiritual cousin to Vivian Smith, her story lacks the edifying moral fiber I prefer in my cautionary tales. Lana certainly had amassed enough bank, and that's, yeah. So we gotta get one more mention of Norma's stepmother.
That's... Wow.
Oh, God. Fuck you, Mark Frost.
Like, I've never heard anybody be like, yeah, Vivian was my favorite character. I'd like to hear more about her. I just
want to see a scene of an FBI character reading all of Tammy's notes and be like, why do I care about any of these people? What does that have to do with anything?
Oh, the very first thing in the book, by the way, is Leo Johnson's autopsy.
Oh.
So we want to start there because, of course, Mark Frost has to explain. Of course, tarantulas aren't poisonous. Everyone, any idiot would know that.
Yeah.
Clearly, Wyndham Earle was just doing that to scare him. The bullets are what killed him.
Oh, so he came back and shot him later?
Yeah.
Oh.
As he was holding that string in his teeth.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's weird. I would have like wrote it that he just died of exposure or something because he's an idiot lost in the woods with spider bites. All right. Any other gems that you can pull out of there, or cover it all?
I think let me double check. Like, yeah, all right, cover it all out. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much. And then we just get into explaining season 3, and like, yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And it is just going through season 3. I had to check because I was like, wait, this seems familiar. Why does this? Oh, I watched this. That's why. It's just you did condense this into 8 pages. What took many weeks.
All right. Well, so you would not recommend, huh?
No. I mean, if you've got a very, very small period of time that you need to fill with a very bad book, sure.
Oh,
So I'm looking up this book on Amazon.ca.
we've got news for you, Brad.
It's got 4.7 stars out of 5.
1,200 ratings. It's almost 5 stars. Come on, Brad. You're putting it wrong.
Wow.
I don't know. Even the reviews that seem to give it high number of 3 stars, disappointing and second rate. Like, you should rate that 1 star. If that's what you think.
Yeah, the first 2 reviews here. One's titled "That's It," and one's titled "Disappointing and Second Rate," and they both gave it 3 stars.
Yeah.
And then the third one is "Sometimes not knowing is better."
And they gave it 4 stars.
Oh, and then Evil Cooper wrote the next review. He said, "How's Annie? Read this book and find out."
It's like a challenge.
She's fine, she says. She's still
claims.
pretty.
Oh, man.
Whew. Somebody says it's better than The Secret History. Would you say it's better than the previous book? Because I really hated that book.
Yeah, because that other book is just, it's so long and ponderous.
Yeah.
Like, there's more ideas and information in there, I'll give it that, but it's unnecessary.
Right.
Like, I think Claire was right. You can take both of these books and make one okay book.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you consolidated them into one, I think that would probably be alright.
Yeah.
If they had put more effort into it, and like you said, if they had got a good editor, then they might have created something nice out of it, but...
All right. Well, so I guess this is our final chance. Do we have any final thoughts on Twin Peaks as a whole that we want to get out there? Caitlin, do you have any thoughts? Or is it just a thing that happened in your life and you don't even care about it anymore?
Going through what happened in this book was a bit overwhelming, partially because there's just so many details about people I barely remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, I don't know. I did enjoy the going through the original Twin Peaks series, and I think at some point I stopped storing things in my memory because it just became too much. I'm it just should have stopped where it was.
So you mean you stopped storing after you stopped storing once you started watching season 3, or all of it?
I'd say season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I would say, there's a lot of, I think, David Lynch does make things very confusing sometimes, but also very interesting, because going through all, his movies and stuff, it was those I haven't erased from my memory. It was some of them super weird, super strange, but also some cool things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brad, what are your final thoughts on Twin Peaks? What's your final word on Twin Peaks, this series, the franchise?
I mean, first 2 seasons and the movie, solid. Love it. And I think that's because, David Lynch didn't have full control.
Yeah.
I think David Lynch is a strong spice. You can't eat a plate of David Lynch. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's Inland Empire.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like he's a man that needs some fucking constraints.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was exactly. Like when we reviewed his 10 movies, I can't remember if we liked exactly half of them or if it was slightly more than half of them. But yeah, he's inconsistent with us.
Yeah. I love his early stuff. And I understand why people enjoy David Lynch just as like a weird trippy thing. But I think nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. I think than what I've said a million times is I think people are seeing a lot more than's there, and I don't think that's a great benefit to David Lynch. I just think that's people looking at clouds.
I think like to some degree, like being able to see more than what's there if you're just kind of having fun with that and not taking it too seriously and saying this is super profound.
Yeah, but a lot of people tend to do that, which is fine, but just don't get butthurt about it when other people don't feel the same way you do. Yeah, which a lot of people did.
And I'm sure they'll continue to.
Oh, probably. I mean, I'm wondering if we'll get some haters. You think so? We'll get some haters again?
Oh, I'm sure.
I hope
Bring
not.
it, motherfuckers. Bring it.
We'll send them all to you, Brad.
Speaking of, we have one piece of feedback here.
What?
It's you, Caitlin. You can read it. It's on Facebook.
Okay. Wow, this is so exciting. I'm thrilled by this. Okay.
This one's kind of tongue in cheek.
Oh yeah. Okay. Here we go. I purchased Twin Peaks: The Final Dossier so I could discuss it on your podcast, but you tell me you're not going to podcast about Twin Peaks ever again, so I leave the book in another state, unread and unopened on a bookshelf. Then I hear you're going to podcast about The Final Dossier after all? ? This is ridiculous. Oh, all caps, fuck you. And you owe me $14.34. Matt A. Well.
Thanks, Matt.
Should've gone to Ollie's.
Yeah. What'd you get it for again? $3?
$3.99.
Matt, you got ripped off.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Matt A.
Yeah. If you need that $15-ish, I'll buy you something.
I'll buy you 15 copies.
I'll buy 15 copies if you're really hurting for it. All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Don't worry, we will probably be doing this again.
Will we?
I don't know.
I don't know if I ever want to do this.
You sound like you hate Brad and Caitlin.
No. I was about to say it's been wonderful catching up with Brad and Caitlin.
Yes.
But I mean, I only did this because I felt incomplete. I left something out.
Yeah, but if they do more,
then I'm going to ignore it.
Again.
I don't know.
When they do the remake and it's by someone else entirely, then will you do it?
Maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you do?
Oh, when we get to CW Twin Peaks.
Oh my gosh!
I am there. I am fucking there.
Okay, so
is that like Archie or?
I hope so. Guys,
it's going to cross over with the Flash.
Guys, Riverdale, solid show. If you wanted some goofy ass soap opera like the weirdest Twin Peaks, Riverdale's the way to go.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. It was like I feel like it went a step above and beyond. Like,
especially this season. So.
Oh, we've only watched.
We watched
the
like
first
1.5 seasons.
Yeah, the first.
Oh,
I know it gets really crazy.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't even get to the part where they sacrificed Archie for the good of the town.
No, what?
Ripped out his still beating heart.
What?
Whoa.
Wow. Amazing.
Okay, I'm just over here rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, so I'll stick to that.
You're making good choices.
Yes, good, healthy choices, Caitlin.
Yeah, to maintain my sanity.
I love it. All
right. So who's got stuff to plug? Brad?
Yes, of course. As always, you can hear me on the Ramjack podcast. They're talking about a lot of nonsense. The Mr. T show, TNT, currently. It's a real classic. Also, you can hear me with Claire and Tammy on Not Quite Scottish Imports, a Highlander podcast where we talk about the fashions of the 90s Highlander TV show. It's amazing. And also, Absolutely True Crime, a Deadly Serious podcast. Where we discuss true crimes and adjudicate them properly. Recently, we've talked about the documentary Pottersville. I know a couple years ago we did the documentary It's a Wonderful Life. Last year we did Home Alone, that important documentary. We've covered The Great Muppet Caper. So a lot of the greatest crimes of our age.
Yeah.
I like
doing
it.
good work.
You're doing good work out there.
Yeah.
Somebody has to.
Someone has to, yeah.
And then you can also listen to me if you really miss me for some reason. You can listen to me on the Karate Kid Minute podcast, where we, for some reason, discuss the film The Karate Kid 1 minute at a time.
Nice.
1 single minute at a time.
Yep.
And sometimes we do a Hooplecast, where we used to review Deadwood, but now we've jumped onto the first episode of HBO dramas.
Every single drama.
HBO drama.
Chronological order. Just the first episode.
Just the first episode.
Ooh, that's
We're almost caught up to modern times. We just did Westworld.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was great catching up with everyone, and thanks for joining us. And if we talk to you again, we'll talk to you again. But it's,
Matt, you're like hoping and praying that it doesn't. I can see it in your face. You're just like, please, no, please.
We'll see.
All right.
See what form Twin Peaks takes in the
You
future,
just can't
if any.
You can't take any more of this torture.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. And, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on twitter.com/TwinPeaksCast. Search for the Twin Peaks Podcast group on Facebook. And visit us on twinpeakspodcast.blogspot.com. Email your feedback to twinpeakspodcast@gmail.com.
Here's a tune for you guys. Okay. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.